put this fence up.
Oh,
Please. Put on the fence. The greatest preamble to a Constitution ever written.
Oh, my
We, the
goodness.
people of the United States.
Oh, my goodness.
A more perfect union. Establish justice. Ensure domestic tranquility. Provide for the common defense. Promote the general welfare. Secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. To ordain and establish this Constitution of the United States of America. Pretty damn exciting.
That's damn great.
Yeah, now here's the other thing. We had nothing to do with this. Probably not clever enough to think this up, it just happened. Here it is. That's an IMP, both of those buildings, IMP, it's family court. And of all crazy things, they named it after Thurgood Marshall, the first Solicitor General African-American and the first member of the Supreme Court African-American. Rufus King spent his life fighting against slavery. And here, years after, we have a building named after what Thurgood Marshall achieved. How fabulous is that? Had nothing to do with it.
What a tie-in.
The main saying there in the middle shows all of the things Thurgood Marshall did in his lifetime. To the right, the very next thing is a quote on the Constitution, something to the effect that the miracle of the Constitution is not its creation, but its life. So, okay. With the name Fox, I feel this certainly is no longer 21st century Fox because those bastards stole my name. This is 22nd century Fox that we're doing. All right. I was a radio broadcaster for 30 years.
Were you now?
I'll be back after these commercial messages. Excellent. Give you an idea of how wide it is. And it's right. When you leave here, you go out that gate and you walk past the park house and right by the fence at 153rd, you will see.
Oh, yeah.
You'll see it from here.
Yep.
You see that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Rufus planted 13 oaks for the 13 original states. And that was one of them. And he planted that the year he finished the house, 1810, 208 years ago.
Wow.
It's almost as old as I am now. The rest of the wood was great, but down at the bottom, it didn't look rotted. I said to the supervisor, what was the problem? He said, Fox, when these trees get this old, the roots pull apart. And so the wood pulls apart, disintegrates. And if you'll look at the holes right at the bottom, you'll see the rats not only had apartments, they had condominiums because there was so much room for them. Now, when you're through looking at that, look at the tree right next to it, which is a monster. That's also one of, we have two left. We've lost 3 or 4 since I've been here. And take a look at how big that one is.
Huge.
The one that we tore down was even bigger.
Wow.
So, what a kick that was.
Yeah, it was.
And boys, it's something to watch those park guys that do that work.
It's massive.
Work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, with the
Part of it's leaning over the road and everything.
and the skill saw in the one hand and the climbing in the other.
Just great. And they love their work.
Yeah.
This team comes out here twice a year and they take a look
they
at all the
furnish,
trees
yeah.
to be sure. Yeah. And then somebody built the far half of the big house in the 1780s. We know virtually nothing except that it was built, if it was attached, if it was a rental property, everything would be guesswork. Rufus and Mary King came back to the United States after being 7 years in England. President Washington sent Rufus King there to heal the wounds left over from the Revolutionary War. And they had learned to love country living. This was the best of all worlds, 122-acre farm. And yet, this was the county seat. There was no Nassau County. Nassau County was created by the dumb soreheads that didn't want to be part of New York City in 1898. Right. And we're so happy they've never joined us, and we want them to keep out of our property. Anyway, if you eliminate Nassau County, which is still a good idea, and you look from the East River to Suffolk County, Jamaica is right smack dab in the middle.
Right.
And so Rufus and Mary wanted country living, but they had to know what was going on, and this gave them that. They got their farm, and in the morning they can walk across the street and get their Starbucks and their New York Times. Now, I know there's no Starbucks in New York. Don't spoil their fun. You know, just because you know this stuff. You don't have to bring it up and be a blabbermouth. Just let them enjoy their life. All right. The last thing that they built was the north kitchen. You can't go from the house into the north kitchen. You come out that door and you go in the other door, and that's just because of No electricity, no fans, no summer heat. Chimney down at the far end. And it also allowed them, the indoor kitchen is right here, it allowed them to have two kitchens. And in 1824, John Quincy Adams was running for the presidency. He came out, stayed overnight. Rufus invited the entire neighborhood, and they could handle that with no trouble, and gave his endorsement. Of course, John Quincy Adams became king. We had a professor, Chris Matthews, came out with his class from, he brought his class 3 years for about 6 weeks in the summer. We had 1 week that we had kids working with them, and what a week. I don't care how hot and miserable, the kids couldn't believe they're working with college students couldn't believe they're helping the kids. And we had farmhouses out there on maps. We were able to determine all of our maps are accurate. They found the outhouse and did so much. They went down far enough. Chris was about 6'2", and if I was standing like over here, I couldn't see him. He was so far down.
Wow.
That was outdoor barbecuing long before people did outdoor barbecuing because of the way this looks. Dug down, and he said, yeah, they did a lot of cooking out here.
Outside.
Well, it looked pretty incredible.
Oh, look. And I guess this curvature here?
Yeah, yeah. Rufus King is the last of the signers, framers of the Constitution in the Senate. And the stupid Congress is doing what the stupid Congress does today. They're moving after 33 years of a document of freedom. Instead of that winning over the slave stuff, they're putting slavery into new territory for the first time. And King is as outraged as he will ever be. February 11th, 1820, Mr. President, I have yet to learn that one man can make a slave of another. And if one man cannot do so, no number of individuals can have any better right to do it. And I hold that all laws and compacts imposing any such condition upon any human being are absolutely void, because contrary to the law of nature, which is the law of God, by which he makes his way known to man and is paramount to all human control. Do I have to tell you there's an uproar in the Senate floor? Totally. What I didn't mention, hear this. The free blacks got wind that Senator King was up to something, and they had filled the galleries of the Senate. What a moment that was. John Quincy Adams, Secretary of State, is there, and I'm thrilled. He went back to his office, and he writes, I can't believe the speech I just heard by Senator Rufus King of New York. Here's the great line. He's got the slaveholders seized with cramps. In my lecture, I say, looking down a little bit here at the physical scale, we would say Rufus King had become the royal pain. Right. Lost the battle, but he struck the standard.
Right.
40 years later at Cooper Union, it's still there. The auditorium, the podium, this kid from Illinois didn't have a lot to say about Washington or Jefferson. He quoted what I just shared with him.
Wow.
He said, this is the shining.
This is it.
And isn't it fascinating?
Fascinating.
You know, all about these founding fathers that wanted freedom for themselves, the hell with everyone else. We've lost this story. But a snot-nosed kid about 10, and I say snot-nosed because he looked suspiciously the way I looked when I was 10. He said, Fox, if this guy King is so important, how come I never heard about him? Without missing a beat, the old fart said, because kid, it gives me something to do. Isaac, thank you for coming to give me something to do.
Wow.
Now I will take you inside.
Wow.
Okay.
Oh, I like it already.
I don't mean to spoil your day, but say hello to Isaac.